Hi children, welcome to another session. How are you all? Hope all are doing good and praying to be good. So, hope everything is fine. So, in the previous session, we discussed about a new chapter that is reproduction in animals. So, how the animals have a reproduction. That means from the simple animals to the complex animals. The development of levels, that is unicellular organisms and multicellular, the tissue level organisms, organ level development of organisms. So that is we discussed, and also we discussed about different types of fertilization like external fertilization and internal fertilization, and also we discussed about the what is the process of external fertilization, internal fertilization, and how the male reproductive system participate in the process of reproduction. How the male reproductive system in a males, why it secrete the sperms, and why it is called as urinogenital system, and how the sperms travel, how the sperms live. These all the concepts we studied in the previous session. Now let us see the new concept from the same chapter, another concept, that is female reproductive system. We are clear with that in a sexual reproduction there is an involvement of both parents, male and female parents. So already we discussed about the male reproductive system. Let us go through the female reproductive system. In a male reproductive system, the male reproductive organ is testes, and the testes secretes the male reproductive gamete that we call it as a sperms. So sperms they live for 72 days, and the sperm structure of a sperm is divided into three parts, that is head part, middle part, and the tail part. These we discussed about their functions also. Now let us see coming to the female reproductive system. The ovaries are the main part of the female reproductive system. This is a male reproductive organ. So these ovaries, it functions in the secreting the egg. It secretes the ovum or the egg. So the main reproductive gametes are secreted by the ovary. In the picture you can see here the green color structures that are called as ovaries. These ovaries secrete a ovum. So in a female reproductive system we find a pair of ovaries, right ovary and a left ovary. You can see two green color, right side and a left side. These ovaries they secrete the ovum. So both ovaries doesn't secrete at the same time. So 1 month one ovary. In case in this month if right ovary secrete a ovum, coming to the next month the second ovary secretes the ovum. Alternately the ovaries secrete the ovum. So the main function of the ovary is they secretes the ovum. So the process of secretion of ovum is called as a oogenesis. Okay. Coming to the next part in the female reproductive system, fallopian tube. What is the importance of fallopian tube? You can see the tube-like structures. The ovaries are attached with the tube-like structures. No, the tube-like structures are called as fallopian tubes. These fallopian tubes also called as oviducts. In a males, how we see the sperm duct. In a females, we will find the oviduct. So they helps to receive the mature eggs, and the main process fertilization will take place in the fallopian tube. Another name for fallopian tube, oviduct. So it is very most important question. Where does the fertilization takes place in the females? Fallopian tube. Fallopian tube is a part which facilitate the process of fertilization in the human beings, in the females. Okay. So the main function of fallopian tube is it facilitates the process of fertilization. So fallopian tube, as I said you that it is also called as a oviduct, and it plays a major role that to helps to the process of fertilization. You are clear with what is meant by fertilization, no? In the previous class, that is nothing but the fusion of male and female gametes, uniting of a male and female gametes, or combining the male and female gametes is called as a fertilization. Coming to the next part of a female reproductive system, uterus. Uterus is a sac-like a structure which facilitates to the development of a baby. You can see the part uterus, the word uterus topmost to the picture. You can find there at the top of the picture. That is a uterus. The uterus is a bag-like a structure. We used to say baby bag, no? That is a bag-like a structure. For a clear understanding, when you observe the pregnant woman carries the baby, the part where the pregnant woman used to carry the baby, that part is called as a uterus. Okay, so uterus, the main function of uterus is nothing but it is a sac-like a structure which helps to development of the baby. So when the zygote, after fertilization, when the zygote forms, this zygote develops into an embryo. So it divides into many times and forms into many cells, and it develops into an embryo, and it gets into the walls of the uterus and embedded. Embedded means inserted in the walls of the uterus, and it starts to develop in the form of a fetus. In the previous section we discussed a fetus. There is nothing but developmental baby in the mother's womb. So the process of embedding the baby in the mother's womb or the walls of the uterus and having a development in the form of a fetus, this condition we can call it as a implantation. The process of developing of the baby in the walls of the uterus is called as a implantation. Coming to the next part, it is a cervix. This is a cervix is a cap like a part. This cap like a part, we can say this is a facial part of the female reproductive system. This facial part of the female reproductive system helps to open when the copulation is taking place. That means when the process of reproduction or when the mating of male and females is taking place, the cervix part opens and they allow the entry of the sperms into the internal parts of the female reproductive system. So we can call the cervix as also a facial part of the female reproductive system. Next one is a vagina. Vagina is the end part or entrance part of the female reproductive system. So this part allows the entry of the sperms into the female reproductive system. Vagina allows the entry of the sperms into the female reproductive system. Cervix opens and allow inside to the sperms. Okay, so that is the difference between the vagina and cervix. So egg formation occurs both ovaries, but only one egg get mature each month, and that is form alternate ovaries. The egg maturation is a few days, and once the egg is formed, it released into the fallopian tube, that ovulation takes place. So nothing but, as I explained you previously, the formation of egg occurs in the ovaries. In the ovaries, the egg is formed and it moves towards the fallopian tube, and inside the fallopian tube the maturation of egg takes place, and even fertilization also will takes place at that region, and ultimately the process of fertilization will takes place in the fallopian tube. What is another name of a fallopian tube? The another name of fallopian tube is nothing but we can call it as a oviduct. Separately have given is a ovulation. It is releasing of egg from ovary into a fallopian tube. The process of releasing the egg into the fallopian tube is called as a ovulation. In the picture you can find it clearly. The ovary is releasing the egg into the fallopian tube. So you can see again the sperm entrance of the sperm also. So there in the fallopian tube or at the site of oviduct, the process of fertilization will carry on. So after the ovum secreted, what will be the fate of ovum? So ovum or a egg is the same word. So the fate of ovum is to get fertilized or to a menstruation. Whether it will be fertilized or it undergo for the menstruation. Fertilized means it results in the development of a baby. Menstruation means releasing out. So as I said you that the sperm's lifespan is 72 hours, whereas in a female's the ovum lifespan is only 24 hours. That means only for one day they are alive. Later on they will leak out of the body in the form of menstruation process along with the blood and the muscles. Okay, that is called as a menstruation. We'll see what will be the fate of a ovum. To get fertilized, sequence of events that takes place. So the formation of egg, when it is released, the male and female body, the ovum will be fertilized. First the event is fertilization. So ovulation, releasing of egg from ovary into the fallopian tube. During the process of copulation, first the sperms will be released. First the sperms will be released into the female reproductive system. So after releasing, they reaches to the fallopian tube. Then the ovary release the egg into the fallopian tube. So it reaches to only the sperm comes in search of a egg, and in the fallopian tube we can find the formation of a fertilization or the process of a fertilization. So what is meant by copulation? Copulation is mating of a males and the females. Mating of a males and the females. What is meant by fertilization? Fertilization is nothing but the process of fusing of male and female gametes is called as a fertilization. The process of fertilization will take place in the oviduct or a fallopian tube. What is meant by implantation? Implantation is nothing but, you can see there the walls of the uterus. So the embryo, the developing embryo enters into the muscles of the uterus or the walls of the uterus, and it will exist at the uterine wall, and the development will start it. So the development of baby in the uterine of a female reproductive system is called as the process of implantation. Next one is placenta. Placenta, it is a temporary tissue which is developed during the process of pregnancy. So it forms as a tissue, and it is the connection between the mother and baby. It is a connecting part between the mother and baby. So it connects and it helps to transfer the nutrients from the mother to the baby and the waste from the baby to the mother. Not only nutrients, water, gases, all these substances will travel from the mother to the baby, and the waste, the excretory material which was eliminated by the baby, it will be passes by the placenta into the mother's body. So the placenta plays a key role. For your examination, it is very most important. So it consists of innumerous of blood vessels, and it is a villi-like a structure. What is meant by villi-like structure? Villi means increasing this, having infolds. You have an idea of small intestine. No? Our small intestine is infolded like a structures. Even the placenta also, it is a villi-like a structure which helps to increases the surface area. Why it is increases its surface area? Because it absorb or it carry more amount of nutrients to the baby. That's what it is having a more amount of blood vessels, and it transported the food substances from mother to the baby and from baby to the mother. Coming to the next one, gestation period. The period of development of a zygote into full form of offspring. You can see the stages: first month, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month, seventh month, eighth month, ninth month. So the development of baby is changing as there is a process of development. So there is a maturity from 1 month to another month. We can find the maturity levels are increasing. No, so lot of changes we see. So the duration period from the first month to the 9 months of the pregnancy, this duration is called as the gestation period. So for all the animals, the gestation period is not same. The gestation period varies from the person, from animals, some animals to the animals. Next one is parturition, expelling the grown baby from the mother's womb, coming out of the baby. The baby, how the baby comes out. When the months are filled, when the baby have well growth or completely development of the growth of the baby, the mother, the walls of the uterine give a vigorous contraction and relaxations. This vigorous contraction and relaxations facilitate the movement of the baby. So these vigorous contraction and relaxations results in the labor pains of the mother. So the pregnant woman previous to the birth, they expels the pains that we call it as a labor pains. Due to the vigorous contraction and relaxation of uterine wall, they liberate the labor pains. These labor pains facilitate the mother to expel the baby out of the body. The process of expelling of the baby out of the body is called as parturition. Parturition is nothing but giving birth to the baby is called as a parturition. Sex determination already we discussed. It is the process by which sex of a child is determined, confirmed. It is a process which helps to confirm the baby, either it is a boy baby or a girl baby which is present inside the mother. That condition is called not only inside the mother's womb, or else after birth also. How it will be decided? That process is called as the sex determination. So let us see schematic representation in the sex determination. You can see here children, male gametes, reproductive chromosomes, XY chromosomes. In females we will find XX chromosomes. So that is a parental generation. And if male is a father, female is a mother. If father releases a Y chromosome and mother releases, always mother have only a X chromosome. So X chromosome, the Y chromosome is a odd chromosome which decides the baby. So if father release a Y chromosome, mother has always a X chromosome only, no? So she will release only X chromosome. They result as a boy. Because in a male, dad consists of XY chromosome. In this zygote also we are finding XY chromosome. So the resultant of the baby is boy baby. And if father release X chromosome, as mother always will have only X chromosome, she also will release the XX chromosomes resembles the female. So it releases baby girl. It resembles the baby girl. So always the responsibility of determining the sex depends on the father, not a mother. Everyone feels that no, in olden days, if a mother gives a baby girl birth, they used to harass the mother, and some mother-in-laws used to make abuse their daughter-in-laws. So a lot of problems is there because of misconception. Completely the responsibility of deciding the baby, either it is a boy or a girl, depends on the father. Only the males will decide either it is a baby girl or a baby boy. So there is a 50-50 chances of a boy or a girl. So sex of a child is determined by the father, as father produces different types of the gametes. So for your exam he will ask, what is the smallest chromosome? Y chromosome is the smallest chromosome. So father is having a different types of chromosomes. So father is main responsible to release the chromosome. Next one is types of animals based on how they produce of offsprings. Already previous session we discussed that oviparous animals and viviparous animals. So viviparous means they are those organs that give birth to the young ones. Directly the organisms which give birth to the young ones are called as viviparous animals. Mammals are the best examples. Example, cow, horse, dog, etc. Mammal means the animal which give birth to the young ones and feed the babies with the milk. Animals which have a mammary glands, well defined mammary glands to feed the babies, they are called as the mammals. So mammals are the main responsible of viviparous animals. Oviparous means they lay the eggs which hatch into the offsprings. Example, birds, snakes, frogs. So animals which lay the eggs are called as viviparous animals. You can find some examples here: viviparous animals and the oviparous animals. Viviparous animals who they gives the birth, and oviparous means lay the eggs, hatch the eggs, and they'll give birth to the young ones. So already we discussed embryonic development. They are the oviparous animals and the viviparous animals. So oviparous animals, they lay the eggs. This is about other than oviparous and viviparous, we can find another type of animal that is called as a egg laying mammals. Egg laying means animals, they lay the eggs and they feed the babies with the milk. So you can see the organism which is called as a duckbill platypus. You can see the snout of the animal, the legs of the animal. They are having webbed feet like a duck, and also they have the snout or a beak like a duck. That's why they are called as duckbill platypus. It is a great example of egg-laying mammal. Not only duckbill platypus, we can see echidna and anteater. Echidna. This is also an animal which lay the eggs and feed them with the milk, mother's milk. So they have a mammary glands, so they feed their babies with the milk. So these two animals, echidna and duckbill platypus, both are called as egg laying mammals. They are the egg laying mammals. You can see clearly the pictures here. So these two are the egg laying mammals, duckbill platypus and echidna, that is a spiny anteater. General name of echidna is spiny anteater. In the previous session already we discussed the process of metamorphosis. What is a metamorphosis? It is a series changes that take care under to form as an adult, from the larva to the adult. So it is a one order form. It is a series means in orderly they'll have some development there throughout the life. So the changes which takes place from the larva to the adult stage of an insects or the frogs or the some animals, that process is called as a metamorphosis. You can see here the life cycle of a silk moth. Silk moth is a insect. So from the egg it develops into a silkworm. That silkworm develops into a cocoon. The cocoon develops with the moth. So this moth develops into a male or a female silk moth. So here we can see a lot of change. The structure of body also you can find. No? So the egg stage very small and it looks like a worm. Later it becomes as a cocoon. A lot of changes are taking place. So these changes are nothing but is called as a metamorphosis. So these metamorphosis process will take place by the pheromones. Hormones, they are the chemical substances. In insects, the hormones are called as a pheromones. These pheromones in insects plays a key role in the process of metamorphosis. And coming to the life cycle of frog, you can see here. So when the frogs lay the eggs, many eggs are laid by the frogs and they develops into the tadpole. So the mature tadpole you can see which is having a tail. But coming to the adult frog, you cannot find a tail. Yes or no? So that means the tail is disappeared. So a lot of changes we are finding at the shape or the structure of the body of an organism. So these changes are called as metamorphosis. But in frogs, the hormone thyroid gland secretes the thyroxine. Due to the secretion of thyroxine, the process of metamorphosis is taking place. So the water should need a more content of iodine. If a more content of iodine is there, the frogs could able to release the sufficient amount of thyroxine. It facilitate better growth of the organs. That means adult frog. So if there is no sufficiency of iodine in the water, The frogs cannot do the process of metamorphosis, and we cannot find well growth or well development of an organism. They cannot complete their life cycle. So let us see what are the test tube babies and how they are produced. See, some children, some parents, they may not have a children, so they may have due to some problems. So when they doesn't have that, they have an anxiety or anxious to have to need to give a birth to the children. So at those times they will prefer to the formation of in vitro fertilization, IVF we call. So what they will do, they'll take the sperms from the male and eggs from the female, and they injects into the test tube and they combine both egg and a sperm. If they keep that together in a same test tube for a few hours, in a few hours they'll be become as a fertilized. They fuses together. After fusing together, what they will keep, they'll keep in a certain place for a 1 week. So after 1 week, that will be develops into a zygote. See here, you can see here how they will do the process of in vitro fertilization. They are injecting, see how they are injecting, how they will inject. These are the pictures which give you a good identification. That's what I kept these pictures for you. So ovulation, they'll promote the ovulation. When they secrete the ovum through the syringe, they will take the ovum. That ovum will mixed with the sperm in the test tube, and they make it to develop into the embryo, and this embryo will be transferred to the uterus, female's uterus. See, like this, in the test tube the baby will develop in this is an artificial environment. How the mother's womb will be the environment, the same environment artificially they will create in the test tubes. So you can see here the test tubes, how the baby is developing here in the test tube. We can see for your better understanding I took this. So here you can find, so you can see the development of a baby here, how the baby gets developed. So they will inject into the mothers, in vitro fertilization into the test tube process. So you can see here how they are injecting. So here you have given a small information. What is a test tube baby? The term test tube baby means a child that is conceived outside the woman's body. It will be not in the mother's womb, conceived in the outside of the woman's body. A more complete definition specifies these test tube babies as being conceived in a laboratory through the scientific process. So this is called as in vitro fertilization. So the first test tube baby is mother, you can see here. Meet Louis, the world's first test tube baby arrival. See, this is a first test tube baby. You can see here clearly the first test tube baby. First test tube baby. See, she is fine. She has well growth. She is enjoying her life. Yeah? Did you watch? Nice, no? Nice. So we'll get a healthy test tube baby. So cute, no? Very nice. So we'll have some question and answers. We'll see. What is fertilization? Give its two types. It is a fusion of male and female gametes, and they form the zygote. The two types of fertilization is external fertilization and internal fertilization. Write full form of IVF. IVF means in vitro fertilization. Next, what are sexually transmitted diseases? Name few. They are The diseases spread through the sexual contact. Examples: AIDS, syphilis, gonorrhea, etc. Okay. Next question. Explain life cycle of silk moth. First stage of silk moth is egg. Next one is larva. The last one is a pupa. So, hope you understood well. Let me give you a small activity, children. Nothing but try to collect the silk moth eggs and how they matured. Otherwise, nearby the silkworms rearing centers, if you go, you can find how they used to grow. Better collect the information or the collect different kinds of levels growth of the silk moth and make it a little bit of project. Hope you understood well. By this we completed the session or the chapter completely, reproduction in animals. See you soon in the next session.